Kaida sat in his chambers, his eyes closed, his horned Terminator helm resting on the ground next to him. The air around him was old, having been recycled hundreds or even thousands of times. It smelled faintly of metal and oil, and the gentle hum of the ship's engines shuddered through the air, the walls, and his body. Under his pale eyelids, his eyes still moved as if he was seeing. But he was not seeing. He was remembering. Kaida fired his bolter into the gut of the wretched Xenos that inhabited this accursed planet. The plain on which the battle was fought was a bleak brown of dead grass, and the air was rich with the blood of Astartes and the foul, strange blood of their enemy. The omnipresent red glow of the sun turned the green blood of the beast to a dirty brown color. It spattered across his white and green armor, sliding down his breastplate. He remembered not the foe they faced that day, and in this memory they were naught but malignant shadows, yet they still bled. The next alien that tried to slay him met a similar end. Blood and wisps of shadow spraying as it faded into nothing. Sometimes he remembered vague details about the enemy. They were insectoid in nature, with 4 limbs, mandibles, powerful legs, and a strong carapace. It did not matter what they were anymore, for they had died over 10,000 years ago. He attempted to reload his weapon, but another alien fell upon him and tried to spear him with blades of shadow. A face, twisted by an alien rage, flashed before him, the blades of shadow spearing and slicing in rapid succession as he desperately dodged the lightning-fast attacks. They grazed his side as he dropped his gun, slicing through his ceramite as if it were paper. He drew the chainsword on his hip and hacked into the left arm of the Xeno, bisecting it through its body. His helm and armor were now covered in blood, viscera, and gore, but he cared not, for that was the way of his legion. They took pride in their scars and damage. Then he heard a warrior fall. He had heard many fall during their campaign on this planet, yet this one shook Kaida to his very core. He saw it with his own eyes. A colossal demigod, clad in cataphracti armor, holding an enormous scythe in one hand, toppled to the ground, surrounded by a veritable hill of dead aliens. Kaida knew he had to reach the Death Shroud's body, no matter the cost. His limbs moved seemingly of their own accord, slaying every alien that was unfortunate enough to block his path. He reached the body and its scythe, still gripped strong in the dead man's hand. He pulled it gently into his hands, and he felt a shiver run through his body at the raw power contained within the weapon. Kaida looked across the battlefield to his father, Mortarion, realizing the potentially lethal folly of his actions. He had just taken the weapon from the cooling corpse of his father's most trusted soldiers. From behind his rebreather, Mortarion saw him. Time stood still for a few heartbeats, as if Mortarion was deciding whether Kaida should live or die, and then, almost imperceptible, he nodded. Kaida barely remembered the rest of the battle, only that he had never fought half as well as he did that day. Mortarion made a gift of the scythe he had recovered to him, one that he had treasured throughout the long war. He had it still, and wielded it in every battle. There was an irony and a sadness in the Death Guard's reputation for strength and durability, that they had fallen so low and yet Kaida remained. His Primarch was dead. He had not seen it with his own eyes. He was with his future brothers, the sons of Horus. He had heard tale that his Primarch had ascended to be part demon. He did not believe the tales. There was a colossal demon ruling the Death Guard with a decaying grasp, but that was not his Primarch. It was a pretender that wore his face like a mask. He refused to believe that such a metamorphosis could happen and leave his Primarch's essence intact. He reopened his eyes and saw Arlus standing before him, holding his demonic staff with its ever-burning fires. The black of his armor matched the black of Kaida's Terminator plate, yet his was more ornate, befitting a sorceress priest of their warband. The strange glowing eyes of Arlus's goat helm bore right through his very soul. "How long have you been standing there?" Kaida asked as he lumbered to his feet. "Long enough." Arlus spoke. He spoke softly, and when he could not be heard, he sent his words directly into the minds of those to whom he spoke. "You've been dreaming again." "Remembering, sorcerer. There is a difference." "Perhaps. Who knows when one is sleeping? Your brain remembers sometimes and fabricates fantastical events at others. The helmsman would like you to know that we are arriving at Theobald's sanctuary. We should be there in a few days." "How come you came yourself?" Kaida crossed his arms, his brow furrowed in suspicion. Arlus almost always left underlings to run menial errands such as these. "Is it because of my memories?" Arlus's face was obscured by his helm, but Kaida heard the smile nonetheless. "Even though you're a brutal slayer of men, you still can be perceptive. And to answer your question, yes, in a way. It's to do with your father. The god of decay's eyes are upon you." Kaida laughed and spat on the floor. "That rotting sack of war pus has been lusting after me ever since he corrupted my brothers and my Primarch 10,000 years ago. I might be one of his greatest treasures if he were to catch me. What makes this so different?" Even though he had naught but contempt for the bastard in the warp, Kaida's heart beat faster at the mention of Mortarion. It was a response, forged into him when he was transformed into a superhuman soldier, he assured himself, not an indicator of lingering loyalties. "Before we destroyed Cadia, he was content to just let you go about your own way, that you might eventually fall into his hands. But now he is out to get you. We have changed things irrevocably. I can feel it in the warp. Demons that once talked of nothing but Horus now talk of the damage we wrought upon the galaxy." Arlus's voice barely concealed his awe. He had admired Abaddon ever since they had served together in the Lunar Wolves. "I will not fall to him. I won't let myself become corrupted and tortured." Kaida felt a subtle wave of sadness radiate from Arlus. "I heard your father say that same thing 10,000 years ago.